My little goal here for today is to remind you of something that I myself frequently need reminding of, and actually a better understanding of. And that's that the world, the universe, God, requires nothing of you. And I know it doesn't seem that way, because other people certainly do require things of us and try to put obligations on us and demand things of us. But it is also true that they need our consent to do it. We have never fulfilled a requirement, an obligation, or a demand without our own consent to it, without our own action. It never happened that someone just came in, put a requirement on us, and we automatically did it like a machine, a mindless machine. It never happened. And we can sort of think about this in a simple way. Of course, people force people to do things, right? A simple example might be something like a bribe. If someone came up to you and said, "Hey, I demand that you do, that you learn and do a handstand, and then go do it in the middle of public," and they'll bribe you for it. They'll give you $1,000, let's say. If you do it, you're not doing it because they require it of you. You're doing it for the $1,000. If anyone could just come to you and demand something of you, obligate you to do something, they wouldn't need the $1,000. They would just need their own obligation. And it's the same way the other way around. If someone threatens us, right, the opposite of a bribe, carrot or the stick, threatens us with something, we don't do it to fulfill their requirement. We do it to evade the consequences of the threat. So in its nature, whether we decide to do it or not, in its nature, requirements are not automatic. They need our consent and active participation. And now, I know what many people will say, that these threats, okay, bribes are one thing, but threats really do necessitate someone to do something. When was the last time we were ever threatened to do something? Let's keep those extreme scenarios out for a moment, because we're talking about daily life. The majority, if not all, of our misery, of our confusion, of our sadness, of the conflict within ourselves, comes from the daily living of regular days, but being guided by extreme examples. And so let's leave the extreme examples for a second. If we just lead our normal daily lives according to something clear, according to something that makes reasonable sense, then we will have lived at least 99%, if not 100% for most people, of our lives in that clear, reasonable way without ever encountering any of those extreme scenarios. It hardly ever happens. And the most important thing about realizing that all these requirements, all these obligations are self-imposed, is that they make us resent the very people for whom we are doing them. Whenever we show up to an event for a friend or a family member or whatever, and we're doing it out of a sense of obligation, I am this person's friend and they invited me and they want me to be there, so I'm going to go even though I really don't want to. Whenever we do something in that mindset, we look for thanks. When we go to this place, we make sure that we're seen. We make sure that we collect our credit. And what happens when we don't get that thanks? What happens when us fulfilling this so-called requirement, this obligation, goes unnoticed or unthanked for? We become resentful. We say, I went to this event when I had so many better things to do and I really didn't want to, but I did it for my friend, I did it for my family member, I did it for my sibling, my parent, my coworker, my boss, and no one even appreciated it. We feel cheated. We feel taken advantage of. And we feel that we're wasting our lives trying to satisfy all these demands and obligations, and we delay and postpone living a peaceful, happy life until that day, which never comes, in which these demands and obligations and requirements might come to an end, when we'll finally have fulfilled the last one, and we can finally be ourselves, we can finally rest, we can finally have peace. But that day will never come because there are so many people with so many demands. Vice versa. If we truly want to do something, whether someone tries to require it of us or not, don't we do it and feel joy from it? Isn't the thing itself an immediate reward? And do we ever look for thanks or appreciation or even recognition that we did the thing? No, because the thing was the reward itself. And we're happy with ourselves, and we're happy with everyone else involved. And that's the irony, that's the contradiction, that's the conflict that we must recognize and get rid of. That supposedly all these things that we do for our so-called loved ones make us love them less. Because everyone forgets, everyone is ignorant sometimes on certain things. And not everyone acts rightly all the time. And when we do the thing that's required of us, just because it's required, even though we don't want to, and we don't get our thanks, we secretly, or sometimes not so secretly, become resentful towards that person. So now something that you did for your loved one becomes a point of resentment towards them and towards yourself and really towards the whole world. Does that make any sense? Does it not make more sense, not only selfishly, but also selflessly, to only do things that you truly want to do because you see the point in it, because you see the value in it, because you see the love, the happiness in it? Won't everyone who sees us anywhere after a certain period know that we're only there because we want to be there? And that if we're not there, that it's just not something we felt up for. And yes, of course, there will be that period where people are sort of thinking that you're breaking the social contract, right? And that's another almost funny thing to realize once you see it, that there's this contract where it's transactional. I'm your family member, and so you do something for me even though you don't want to, so that you get the privilege of me doing something for you when I don't want to. And it's this charade and this game for no reason that we keep up because everyone else is doing it. And if we don't participate in it, we're going to be criticized. And oh, that would be even worse than doing something that I don't want to. That would be even more work. And yes, initially, it will be more work because no one's going to understand it. Everyone's going to feel cheated. It's like, I have to do these things. Why doesn't this person show up to this? Why isn't he miserable with us? Why does he get to be by himself and finally free and content and happy? Why does he get to live his life the way he wants to or she wants to when I don't? There will be that period of that, but that very period, if these people have around you have any awareness whatsoever, will also lead to questioning themselves and saying, well, whoever required me to be miserable? If my loved ones truly love me, Why would they require me to do things that I don't want to do, that makes me less happy, that makes me less content with myself, that makes me feel less free because I feel like all my time and all my mind is taken up with obligations that I don't even understand why we're doing them. And by your example, without you saying a single word, they will see that no one is required to do these things, and that we keep ourselves in this unaware loop of misery and meaninglessness. When I talked about it before, true kinship, whether this is family love, friendship love, your spouse kind of love, whatever it is, it's all kinship, is not based on blood, and it's not based on history. In other words, just because you're genetically related to someone does not mean that you have to be interested in every single thing they do and support them, so-called support them in things. You do not have to spend your life in a way that you do not intend to, because intention is all that we have to give. Awareness, attention, our time on this earth, in this life, is all that we have to give. It's the most precious, and it cannot be increased. Similarly, history, just because you've been friends with someone for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, does not mean that you didn't change. Does not mean that you're not allowed to change. And if you do change and this person does not align with what you are interested in life anymore, then where does the obligation come from for you to continue, which is, by the way, not only not fair to yourself, but not fair to this other person, to continue this so-called friendship just because it was started earlier and has been going on for so long? Where does the obligation come from to keep that going? And why should it be there? And who has the right to make that requirement? And whom does it serve? Does it serve me? No. Does it serve my friend? Absolutely not. Whom does it serve? So truly, the world is not the way we see it. The world is not this constricting place in which our own control over our own life is dispersed among the many people and their unreasonable requirements on us. People don't get to make requirements on us, and God does not make any requirements on us. God could, and when I say God, I hope you mean that I mean the universe, the all, everything that exists, all of reality is contained within the universe. All of truth, all of beauty, all of goodness, every single thing is contained in the universe. There's nothing outside of it. There's nothing separate than it. And that sort of sounds like God, doesn't it? So the universe does not make a requirement on you. And people, the creation of that universe, does not get to make any, just like you don't. There's no star anywhere or some planet where on the surface it says, you shall make something of thyself. You shall satisfy all your friends and family members, every single one around you, no matter how unreasonable their requests. And you shall take on to yourself to give them what they want. Your parents' expectations on you, your career, of what to make with your life. You shall satisfy all of them. There's no such thing that is said anywhere in the natural world where we get a message like this. So the universe does not speak to us like that. Why do humans get to? They do not, and you do not. And realize that every single thing that you resent is an obligation of yours, and that every single obligation is self-imposed.